on how and where to get a personal loan. Let's see.
Whether you're looking to consolidate debt, make a large purchase, or just make some improvements around the house, a personal loan may be a good option for you in getting the cash that you need. Hey, I'm Brianna with Bankrate, where we've been a trusted source in finance since 1976. And in today's video, I'm going to be walking you
Damn.
through 8 steps that you should consider taking when taking out a personal loan. But before we get into that, I just want to talk to you a little bit about why a personal loan is a good option. So typically, when you need money for something like an emergency or just something that was unplanned, you'll have 3 options in getting that funding. They are payday loans, credit cards, and personal loans, like we'll talk about in a few. The thing with payday loans is they are extremely predatory and we want to avoid them by any means necessary. Interest on payday loans can be upwards of 400%. And typically when you borrow through a payday loan, that money is due back within 1 to 2 weeks. And if you don't have it, they can come directly into your bank account and take it from you. So again, we want to avoid payday loans, but when we look at credit cards versus personal loans, the average interest rate on credit cards is about 16%, whereas the average interest rate on a 2-year personal loan is a little over 9%. So personal loans are the cheapest option and really the best option for the things that we're going to talk about today. So with all of that being said, let's go ahead and hop into the steps that you should consider taking if you want to take out a personal loan. Okay, so the first step is to run the numbers. You want to know how much money you need to borrow, and you want to make sure that you consider a few things when you're coming up with that number. The most important is that a lot of lenders are going to charge you an origination fee, which is taken out of the amount that you borrow. So you want to look into what that origination fee might be and consider it when you ask for the amount that you want to borrow. Also, in running the numbers, you want to look at what your monthly payment will be once you borrow. And I highly recommend using a loan calculator. And if you head over to bankrate.com, we have a dashboard where you can personalize your
Advertising.
finance experience with dozens of different loan calculators. You can personalize it to show you the rates that you're interested in seeing and really just all of your finance needs. When running the numbers, I highly recommend that you check out the Bankrate dashboard. Okay.
When it comes to that loan origination fees, um, places that won't charge origination fees will one is always credit unions. I know that for sure. I have like 2 credit unions and they've never charged me an origination fee for a personal loan. A bank, I was like, I think a lot of banks or majority of the banks don't charge an origination fee, but I would definitely look into that and just ask them, be like, hey, do you guys charge an origination fee? If they don't, great. A lot of financial institutions like Upstart, I know that they also charge one, maybe Loan Stream. I think that's one I saw on the those places that are mostly about that's all they do, just personal loans. Um, yes, they will charge a loan origination fee because really that's all their business model is just do personal loans. So yeah, I was like, that's something, for as a FYI, that go to a credit union, they will never, I've never seen a credit union charge you an origination fee. So that's why I like credit unions and then the reason. Let's get back into it.
Okay, so the second step that you want to take is to check your credit. So
Mm-mm.
most lenders are going to require a credit check and you have to have at least fair credit to qualify for a personal loan. Now that means that on the low end, your score is at least a 580. But keep in mind that good to excellent credit is not only going to be more likely to get approved, but your interest rate will be a lot lower. So if you check your credit and you find that your score is a little bit lower than you expected, I highly recommend that you go to annualcreditreport.com where you can pull a full credit report from all 3 of the credit reporting bureaus, TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. From that, you can dispute anything that shows up that you don't agree with. And that could be a major step in you getting your credit to where you need. Now, if you go through all of that and your credit still isn't in that fair range, I highly recommend that you hold off on applying for a personal loan and really work to improve your credit so that you can get the interest rate that you desire and also just make sure that you're getting approved. Okay, so the third step is
I was waiting for this. This is the most important section of this video, I think, for me. Because again, the name of the title is How and Where to Get a Personal Loan. They're supposed to tell you how to get a personal loan. When I think of how, it's how do you get approved for a personal loan is really what it is. And if you look at the information she said, so she said check your credit score. So that's like surface level, very like minimum information that yes, you should be checking your credit score because if you have a low credit score, then also you're going to get charged more interest. You won't get approved as much. Lenders aren't willing to take that chance on you. So that is what she should have went into more depth was you have a collection within 2 years because again when we're looking at your credit, we have access to um so many years, but the active information will show up there that if you have a collection, how long ago was that collection? How much was that collection? Who sent that account to collection? What account was it that was charged off? It, and if you see those errors, that's something that she said, definitely putting in a dispute. I get going to the annual creditreport.com website, which it's not a bad tip, but it's like you got to know what you're looking for. And if you don't know what you're looking for, then how is it that you can improve your credit? Like she said, majority of the people don't know how to fix their credit. Why? Because we don't have the access to the information that we do, and we have surface level information like payment history, the amount owed on your credit, your length of credit, your credit mix, your new inquiries. Like that's all the information that we just have. There's nothing more outside of that we have that we can educate. So it's like, okay, let's say if we miss the payment, how do we come back to recover back to the score or even improve from that score, which is like what she was just missing. And it lets you know that they really, well, based off the video, they don't know what they're talking about. Like, oh, you can't just tell someone to pull a credit, look at their credit, but not tell them what they're looking for. So it's like, so here's the rundown on it. So if you want to get approved for personal loan, if you have any collections, get them disputed. If they're wrong, get them disputed. Because we will take that into consideration. And when we're underwriting, banks, or at least the banks that I've worked for, they have a limit of how much collections, the dollar amount of collections they're willing to accept. So, say if they're willing to accept a total of $1,000 in collection. So it's just like things like that. Also, we'll look to is make sure that you're paying that you're not 30 days past due on any of your accounts that are reporting to the credit bureau. Have you had any personal loans before? If you've never had a personal loan and you're trying to get this will be your first personal loan, don't expect get um to get approved for a high amount because we have nothing to compare. We don't know if you're going to pay back a $20,000 personal loan because we have nothing to compare. Yes, let's see if you've been paying in $20,000 auto loan. That's different. If you stop paying for that auto loan, all the financial institution has to do is just take the car and sell it. And if you still end up owing money after they sell it, then obviously that will just show off as a collection. So that is like the differences when it comes to like an auto loan and a personal loan. So yeah, so personal loan, like, so if you never had one, you're going, don't ask for a lot. You won't get approved for a lot unless you have mitigating factors that will help us most likely want to give you a high personal loan. A lot of that can be like if you have assets, if you have a great relationship with the financial institution, if you have a lot of banking products with them, they can use this stuff to offset and approve you for a little bit higher personal loan. It's not gonna make like literally it's not gonna be the it's not gonna be like oh yeah, because you have assets and great relationships, it increases your chance of getting approved for a big personal loan. No, like we still have to take account to your income, how your credit has been, where your score is. So yeah, like she really didn't explain a lot of it when um, when it came to the credit aspect. So she missed the target, and this video is just misleading. Like it's wild, and they have 100K views. Can you believe that? 100K. That's crazy. Get me to 100K. Like, subscribe, hit that ring notification. Remember, trying to get to 50 subscribers and gonna continue trying to go from there. Let's go ahead and continue.
To consider your options. Now, depending on how your credit was in step 2, this could determine whether or not you'll need a cosigner for your loan. And if it is the case that you do need a cosigner, you want to start thinking about people that you can ask. And if you're unable to find a cosigner, there is another option in taking out a secured loan, which means that you have to put something like your house or your car up as collateral on the loan. It is important to remember that if you fail to pay your loan back, the bank can come and seize these items. So that's just something to remember about a secured loan. And one more thing you want to be considering during this time is who you may want to borrow from, whether it be a traditional bank, a credit union, or an online lender. So these are all things that you kind of want to start thinking about and preparing for. Okay, so the fourth step is to choose your loan type. So depending on who you're borrowing from, some lenders may require that you provide what the reason why you're borrowing the money, and they can accept or deny you based on that by itself. So I definitely recommend that you check out the Bankrate personal loan marketplace, because on it we have a lot of the different reasons that people take out personal loans and other information like interest rate and things of that nature on the different types of loans. Now, speaking of those different types of loans, let's just run through a few. So one of the most popular reasons that people take out personal loans is for debt consolidation. And essentially what that means is that you use the money from the loan to pay off all of your other debts like credit cards or whatever it may be. And now you have all of your debts in one big loan. And now you're only making one monthly payment as opposed to all the separate monthly payments that you were making before. And also typically the interest on the personal loan is going to be lower than the interest that you were paying before. So again, the most popular reason that people take out personal loans. A few of the other reasons, home improvements, like I mentioned before. You want to build a new deck out back or fix up a bathroom. A personal loan is a great option to doing these projects around the house. Medical expenses is another big reason that people take personal loans. I think that it kind of lessens the burden of whatever you have going on medically at the time and allows you to focus on the medical and then focus on paying off the loan later. And the last reason I'll give is weddings. A lot of people use personal loans to pay for weddings and then worry about paying them off over time. So again, you want to consider this. You want to be very transparent with your lender and just start thinking about this prior to going to them. Okay, so the fifth step. Now that we've gotten things like the credit and considering our options out of the way, we want to begin shopping around for different lenders. Now, this is really important. You do not want to go with the first lender and the first interest rate that you're offered. It's really important to shop around, get a feel for what your options are. And like I previously mentioned, there are 3 different types of lenders that you want to consider looking at and comparing against one another. Traditional banks, credit unions, and online banks. Now, I highly recommend that you start with the bank or the institution, whether it's a credit union bank, that you have a history with, that you're banking with. Maybe you have a checking account with them. And this is very helpful because typically if you're a valued customer or you have a good history with this bank, they may work with you a little bit better, more likely to approve you and give you a lower interest rate. And one more thing that I want to throw out there about the different types of lenders that
See, I told you. I know what I'm talking about. You said it right there. Having a good relationship with the financial institutions. I'm a genius. Let's get back to it. Just wanted to glow.
you can go through are that if you do look into online lenders, typically they'll run a soft credit check, which means that it won't impact your credit score, but you can still get the information that you want and need to consider whether it's a good loan for you. So don't shy away from those online lenders because there is that benefit to them. Okay, so the 6th step that you want to take is finally to pick your lender and apply. So we've done all the research, we've done our due diligence, and we're finally at the application stage. Now, the great thing about this is that a lot of lenders have everything completely online, which makes it so much more easy. But there is some information that you want to have on hand, just things like your name, your address, obviously how much you want to borrow, like we talked about previously, and what you're borrowing it for. And you also want to have your income and employment information on hand because it's very likely that the application will ask for that as well. Okay, so step 7 is to provide any requested documentation. So we've filled out the application, we've provided that very basic information that they've asked for. But again, depending on your lender, some banks will ask for documentation to prove the things that we put on our application. So they may ask for pay stubs or proof of address, proof of employment. And the faster that you're able to provide this documentation, usually through uploading it onto an online portal, the faster you'll get an approval decision and the faster that you'll get your money. So you want to have these things on hand and prepared. So the 8th and final step, we finally made it to the last step, is to approve the loan and be prepared to start making payments. So after you've submitted all the necessary documentation and your application, the lender will get back with you and let you know whether or not you've been approved. And if you are approved, it is important that you accept the loan, which means that you're accepting the terms and conditions that go along with it. And then you're also very familiar with when payments are due, which I'll get to in a moment. When you accept the loan, you typically can expect to see the funds in your account within a week. But a lot of online lenders, again, another perk to them is that they typically get the money to you a little bit faster. So maybe sometimes in 1 to 2 business days. And as I mentioned before, you want to make sure that you're very clear as to when your first payment is due because you want to be responsible in repaying these loans. A few things about repayment. Typically, if you sign up for auto pay, the lender will lessen your interest rate, sometimes up to 0.25%. So that's an option that you may want to consider if it's feasible to you, is to use auto pay. If possible, pay back a little bit more than what the minimum payment is so that you can pay it back faster and that you end up paying less interest over the life of the loan. So just a few repayment tips there. But again, we have plenty of repayment calculators over at bankrate.com. You can put them on your dashboard and use them throughout the life of repaying your loan. Okay, so there you have it, the 8 steps that you should be taking if you're considering taking out a personal loan. I hope that you found them helpful.
You said it. There you have it. Her information wasn't bad. It really wasn't bad. It was very surface level, but I think I think in this video they're helping a different part of people that are trying to see about getting a personal loan as opposed to my perspective of okay, this is how you get approved for an auto loan or not an auto loan for a personal loan. Like your credit needs to look like this. Your income needs to be at this certain amount. Your debt to income can be like this. These are things that credit unions and banks are willing to well more banks than credit unions, but banks are willing to take exceptions for. So it's like, well, that's more of what I was hoping for this video because again, it says how and where to get a personal loan. So just this was a big fail for me. Wasn't bad, but like no, no. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on to